Welcome ladies and gentlemen, my name's Dychronic, you're here on this Destiny 2 video, and today we're going to be taking a look at my Gnawing Hunger review. And I realize this video is quite late considering the Gnawing Hunger has been out for the entire season, the extended season of arrivals, and everybody has, for most part, gotten their favorite roles and have used this weapon a lot. However, in this video I wanted to talk about, of course, my personal favorite god roles, the feelings, the pairing, where to use it for both PvE and PvP, as well as talk about the nerf coming Beyond Light that will drastically change this type of weapon. And I've also done some calculations, so I actually have real time to kill numbers to give to you guys. Right, so if you've never heard of the Gnawing Hunger, it is a 600 RPM adaptive frame void energy auto rifle that can be found from the Dredgen Focus Umbral engram, the Lead Focus Umbral engram, Reckoning, Gambit, or Gambit Prime. And one of the best parts is that its sunset level is 1360, meaning that it will be available at max level for the next 3 seasons. One of the first things I wanted to talk about is going to be that nerf coming to 600 RPM auto rifles in Beyond Light. What they said in a recent TWAB is they're going to be reducing the base damage of the 600 RPM auto rifles from 15.75 down to 14.25. And keeping in mind that last season it used to be 13.75, so it is still between what we have now and what we're going to have in Beyond Light. However, this will have a pretty considerable impact to the time to kill of the weapon. As you can see on screen right now, I did a bunch of calculations for both the optimal, meaning full headshots, and of course a real time to kill, which is a combination of body shots and headshots, and you can see that the time to kill will be increased by 1 shot, increasing it by around 0.1 seconds for both the optimal and real time to kill. And of course the Beyond Light's time to kill is going to match that of what we had last season. And at a glance, it's seeming like these 600 RPM auto rifles are going to be as bad as they used to be. However, there is 2 caveats to that point. Firstly, you're doing more total damage, which technically will increase the range of your optimal time to kill. The second caveat is they're going to be removing all 150 RPM hand cannons aside from Shun Shot from the game, meaning that Gnawing Hunger and all these 600 RPM auto rifles really only have to compete with 140 RPM hand cannons, whereas before their primary competition were the 150s. And I also made a calculation for the 140 RPM hand cannons that calculated base damage, crit damage, the time to kill for optimal, and of course the time to kill for real, and as you can tell, it will still be worse than Gnawing Hunger and a lot of other 600 auto rifles, which is actually a pretty decent idea, considering that the 150 RPM hand cannons and the 600 RPM auto rifles are dominant in the Crucible right now. Pulling those both in will allow the other items, the other weapons, to be more competitive. And I still think the 600 RPM auto rifles are gonna be a very powerful option, because at 0.8 seconds for the optimal time to kill, that's still really good compared to everything else in the meta. And the last thing I wanted to mention before I get into the main part of the video, the different god roles, PvE, PvP, and all that whatnot, I wanted to talk about my new partnership with Nexus. TLDR, Nexus is basically a digital key selling website like Steam or G2A, however they do things better. Firstly, all keys from Nexus come directly from the developers, meaning that they set their own prices, they set their own sales, and they get around 70% to 85% of the cuts, which is equal or better to Steam's flat 70%. And because all the keys come from the developers, there's no weird systems of nefarious gray markets like you can see on G2A, who offer absurdly low prices because a lot of their keys are actually stolen. And lastly, 50% of the remaining profits goes to the content creator that you want to support. So if you buy something off of my Nexus page, I get 50% of the remaining profit. And if you still haven't purchased Beyond Light and you still want to get it for the exact same price you can see on Steam, you're supporting the developer and the creator more than you would on Steam, you can go over to my Nexus page, which is found in the description down below. Right, so with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the PvE side of this weapon. Surprisingly, not very many people know that this weapon is incredibly useful in PvE all the way up to Grandmaster. In my most recent top 10 PvE primaries, I even put it at number 7. When it comes to the god roll for PvE, I like to have a focus on handling and stability. For the first column, small bore and arrowhead break are good options for either one of those. Second column, tac mag is becoming one of my new favorite magazines with extra increases to your magazine, stability, and reload. For the third column, Tap the Trigger or Zen Moment, both great options for stability control. And fourth column, Demolitionist or Kill Clip, depending on if you want more utility or if you want a little bit more damage. And finally, for the Masterwork, I go with Handling. A lot of people snuff their nose at handling, but being able to swap weapons very quickly, handle it a little faster is very useful as compared to range, which is not really that useful in PvE. And if you need more range, usually you just switch over to a pulse rifle or a bow. Not to say range is not important at all, but generally this weapon has a pretty good amount of range. When it comes to the feeling of this weapon, I like to say that it has pretty good handling, great stability, great range, great clip size, really underrated part of it by the way, clip size is great, good RPM, par damage, and perfect perks. Honestly, feels like a perfect combination of stats of all the different auto rifles. When it comes to pairing, I like to pair it with Mountaintop, with a Horde, Izanagi, or pretty much any shotgun. And in my opinion, the best place to use this kind of weapon is going to be against miners at close to mid-long range. The great combination of stats and max size really works really well against large groups at most ranges. Up next, let's talk about the PvP side of things, specifically the God roll, which obviously focuses more on range with a secondary on stability. For the first column, I like small bore or hammerforge rifling if you want to get more stability or if you want to get more range. Second column, tac mag or accurized rounds, again if you want that slew of bonuses with tac mag, including the larger magazine, which is really nice, or if you want to just get more range. Third column, tap the trigger Zen moment for the same reasons, great options for PvP. And for the fourth column, I actually like Rampage or Kill Clip. Primarily, I like Rampage. The big reason is because firstly, it has a very large clip size, and oftentimes there are multiple people in front of me. I want to be able to get that double kill. Rampage just gives me that extra little bit of damage, which allows me to get an advantage on the enemy in front of me, where usually Kill Clip is the optimal option in pretty much everything. I think in this instance, Rampage works really well. And finally, obviously, a ranged masterwork. When it comes to the feeling of this weapon, it's pretty much the same as PvE. Good handling, great stability, great range, great clip size, good RPM, great time to kill, and perfect perks. Again, feels like a perfect combination of stats of all auto rifles. And when it comes to pairing with this weapon, because it is a mid-range weapon, either a shotgun or a sniper rifle will work pretty well. As far as next season options, Ashen Horizon or the Bite of the Fox work really well in the first kinetic column. And that is pretty much everything about this weapon. Again, the highlights are that this weapon is very powerful in PvE and PvP. Even after the nerfs, it will still be a very competitive weapon, and you need to get yourself a good version of it before the end of the season, because we don't really know how available this weapon is going to be in the following season. But yeah, that's going to be pretty much the end of the video. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this particular review. If there's something that you think I missed that was quite major about the weapon, please let me know. And of course, let me know what you want to see for the next review. I've been doing these weapon reviews. You guys have seemed to be liking them. Let me know what you want to see next. I've been trying to focus on the weapons that came out of the Umbral engrams. I might do Cold Denial or Falling Guillotine next. I'm not sure. Please let me know what you'd like to see. But yeah, my name's been Dychronic, and I will see you guys on the next one.